have you ever stopped using a brand for something that they did or support, if you care to share that at all?
I mean, there is even in our notes list that we mentioned Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
Oh yeah, you talked about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There, well, I mentioned offline, but
Hmm.
I noted them. Ben and Jerry's, they're so active with their activism, and I'm like you, man. Like just have your opinions. Like, okay, put them out somewhere. But there's certain brands that go above and beyond to let themselves be known in their outspoken activism, and it's just too much for me on the Ben and Jerry's side. And anyway, there's so many good options for ice cream. I'll take Haagen Dazs all day long. I have no idea what Haagen Dazs stands for, and I like it. I like that. I just leave me at the frozen section at the grocery store. Can I just not be blasted with social issues? Can I just have some good tasting ice cream and relax and watch, like I was telling you offline, just watch Married at First Sight and enjoy the evening with my wife? Like, can is that too much to ask for? So clearly, you've hit a nerve on Ben and Jerry's.
This could, we don't need to go there now, but this could branch off into the marketing of certain social movements, even like the LGBTQ, whatever letters that are on there now. It's seriously, they've added letters where I'm like, there's no way I can remember this, but it's like the LGBTQ community. Um, I'm all about, I think love wins. If you love a man and a woman loves a woman, whatever it is, and they're consenting adults who can make a responsible decision, then heck, why not? Go for it. And I look at the LGBT community as, for me, like, I remember as a kid, we'd be reading the civil rights books or whatever for Black History Month, whatever it was, and they'd have all these pictures. And I always noticed a random like white guy or white girl in the crowd of black people in the '60s supporting. And I was like, damn, that's dope. Like, this is not a very popular decision at all for this person. Probably not even wise at the time, safety wise. And they were doing it. And so I feel today, to me being a straight male, supporting the LGBT community is kind of like, I feel like that random white girl, white guy in the civil rights. This is not me, but I get behind this movement. So I'm behind the LGBT community movement. But at the same time, um, like, dude, if you're a dude, like like, live your truth. If you feel like you're a woman, you feel like you're a woman. But if you are scientifically a man, you should not be racing women, and so I get these emails from the LGBT community like, oh, they won't allow this and that in this race. I'm like, that's freaking ridiculous. Dude's a man. These are women. Like, they shouldn't compete. My point of all that is, you can get, like, these movements get advertised like we're talking about, and even if I believe in some of them, I don't believe in everything that they're about, which may not have nothing to do with our situation, but that's where I went.
No, I think social movements do have a marketing department. Probably the most important thing about a social movement. You can take some examples of movements that I think can be generally agreed upon as not good movements. For example, like Cuba or Central America, a lot of the Latin American revolutions that weren't good, but their leaders were propped up to this day as heroes, like Guevara. People
Yeah.
still wear that symbol, the communism symbol. People are, even to this day, supporting it, wearing it as if it is a good thing, despite the results that it's proven to show as a suboptimal choice of government and economic policy. But the marketing of it has taken hold. It's taken
Right. It's a
hold,
really good point.
and whoever's in charge of that, and it might, at this point, it's in so many different hands. It's just a movement that happens. But I still think, but even in like, this comes back to politics too, and we'll get back to how this applies to your business in a second. But like everything in politics is the marketing side. It's not even so much of how you're actually going to vote or how you're going to actually uh, govern. It's not about that. It's about who supports you, What's the feeling around your party like? What other type of people can you relate to, the people that you associate with that candidate? That's what politics is. That's what it's all about.
That's it. What you just, basically parroting what you said, but it's like somebody else, or it's somebody articulating your thoughts better than you can. Like, oh, I believe in that, and yeah, that's me. And then you have people like me who are not left or right, who come in there and just feed you more of what you want to hear. It's all marketing.
This kind of leads into probably our final segment of this is a how does this like we already figured out that if you're a local business or you have a brand, you're probably going to have to do something. You're going to have to say something if that's what your audience is already. And if they're not, you're just going to take a big risk that's probably not going to pay off for you. So it just depends on your brand. If you're a local business, if you're a restaurant, who's coming in? Will they come in if you don't support this cause? Will they come in if you do support this cause? Are you going to get more customers, less customers? From a business perspective, that's what you need to look at. And then you decide, is this not past my line of morals versus money? So really, it just comes to that. I think. What do you think, Chris?
I, I don't have much to say to that. I agree. I mean, I don't have a bunch to add to that. Again, it's all contextual, and I agree exactly with what you're saying.
This takes us to the last point where, from my observations, and again, we're in these groups, these masterminds, they're kind of expensive to join, relatively speaking. Now there's some country clubs and masterminds that, we're not we're not in yet, because
Yeah,
they're like way expensive. So we're not talking about that, but still we see some people who are pretty well off. And personally, I see a lot of people talking about social media detoxing. They don't want their kids on social media. They don't want their kids even having phones. And I think in part of this is because of that influence that these brands have, that that is causing both children and adults to kind of stray away from reality in a certain way. So let me know. Are you following what I'm saying so
I'm
far?
following what you're saying. The first thing that comes to my mind is when somebody tells you, Dimitri, they walk up to you like, "Hey, Dimitri, you know what? I am going to take a detox from social media. It's just, it's wasting my time. It's feeding me a bunch of crap. Blah blah blah." The person who walks up to you and tells you that, tell me a little bit about what that person is like in your head.
First of all, I can relate to them because I just wouldn't call it that. So if they called it that, to me, that means they're probably like the people who will go on diets every other month and then fail, and then they just like talking about how they failed on their diet. So just the wording of it, uh, it would kind of
Gotcha.
suggest to me that they're not really serious about it.
What if they didn't use detox and like they're just saying, "Hey, I'm getting off of social media, blah blah blah." So
In
get
that case, I would
yeah,
I would think that, okay, this is a person who probably thinks about intentionally thinks about what they want their life to look like, what they want their time to be spent on, and they've come to realize that this is not a positive influence in their life. They're probably going to go spend more time with family, with pets, camping, outdoors, relaxing, reading books. I think it's going to improve their life, quite frankly.
that type of person you described. Do you see more of that person in the world or less?
I think I, whew, I actually am seeing more people like that lately. There's very few of them, but they seem to congregate together in certain groups. Like once you find a group who's all like that, you'll see a lot of them, and it'll seem second nature to you. In a lot of cases, that's why people find those groups. So they feel like that's normal and they can encourage each other. The problem is that social media and phones in general are an addiction. And so it's going to take an effort and actually a detox, like a legitimate physical detox and mental detox to get through it and out of it. And I think fewer and fewer people are capable of doing that, even if they would like to.
I agree. I think that the person who decides to take that type of detox, for lack of better words, or is everything that you just said, where they're self aware. This person probably is cognizant of what they're putting in their body as far as food. They probably are taking care of themselves mentally and physically. Hence, the mental part of staying away from social media. This is a person. It says a lot about somebody who comes to that decision. And I've had to work hard to get in circles of people who think like that. In the normal world, where I'm out with the soccer moms, dads, um, my in-laws, friends, my family's friend, whatever, nobody gives a shit about that. They're not talking about a detox. They want more. And the reason why they want more, yeah, it's an addiction, but it's feeding certain things for different people, right? Like it's so I think that the detox thing is that's a minority group of people who are have some self-awareness, and I don't think the majority of the people have that at all.
No, and the majority of people are the consumers. The minority of people are the people who sell things to the consumers.
Yes.
I mean, I think a great, perfect example of this was during COVID when the government was sending checks. What were they called again? They were sending money. Remember, they're
Yeah.
sending money to everybody
Yep.
because COVID. Where did all that money go? All into a few hands, because those people were the ones with businesses selling the stuff to the people who just had an influx of money. So technically, because anybody earning six figures didn't get a check, they didn't get any money. But that's where all the money ended up, because the people spent the money with the people with businesses and the people. And so the point of this is that the people who know how to use social media, how to use it to market their product or their social program, whatever, their movement, they're the ones who are going to be controlling those who are consuming. And it's addicting to consume, because on this side you have a great argument, that side, and people are passionate, and it's like the news, and it's soap operas, and all that stuff is the same technique, and it really is addicting. I personally, I'm trying to figure out how can I use the tool more and be less used by the tool.
You just answered the question, or you just brought up the question I was going to ask to you. Like in our world, you have people whose entire businesses are ran on social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook. Um, you have people who hack these algorithms for a living. So part of their job is to be on it. So then how do you simultaneously do your job without getting sucked into this black hole that is social media?
The Well, first of all, if you already have a social media addiction, you might as well use it to make money. So if you're going to be on the phone 8 to 12 hours a day anyway, you might as well make the content and post the content, because you're already on it. I mean, you just might as well. So, but you know what I'm seeing from a lot of thought leaders is the no followings, right? So they have their Instagram account, but they're not following anyone. So their
Yeah.
feed is
Yeah.
empty. So they're not distracted by it. Um, and we know of people who they set specific time. Here's how many minutes I can use to, and I only respond to comments or whatever. But it really is. Are you creating or are you consuming?